welcome back to Soccer Supernova with me, Amy Canavan, the show where I talk to some of the most interesting ex-pros kicking around, and today's guest is none other than just that. I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by Gerry Farrell. Gerry, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
How are you doing?
I'm very good.
Good stuff, good stuff. So we'll just get straight into it. You grew up in Springburn?
Springburn, north of Glasgow, yes.
Fantastic. Celtic family?
Yes, very much. My father was right in the Celtic supporters club in Springburn. He was actually on the bus to the game sometimes, or the Chevron's bus, and it was great. It was back in probably 1982, 83 I started going to Celtic Park, and I loved it. It was great times. I was probably fortunate to it last time, a time when Celtic won the winning everything back in 1982 and 83. Aberdeen and Dundee United were big then. Rangers were good as well, but Celtic it was really close competition, so I wasn't spoiled. So I think a lot of years went on, people have been spoiled with Celtic winning everything and don't expect nothing less. So I was probably fortunate. I was more
Who's
acceptable.
your team then? You're looking at McStay and all of that.
Pat Bonner, Danny McGrain, Mark Reid at left back, Tom McAdam, Graham Sinclair was there, then Murdo McLeod, Paul McStay, Davy Provan, Frank McGarvey, Charlie Nicholas, George McCluskey about that year too. You know, it was, you know, that on through the 80s to the mid 80s to the Only Archdeacons came into it, and Brian McClare was brilliant. But probably 1984, 80, right through about 80, 89, I got to see a lot of Celtic. Then you're playing football yourself, your boys club. Used to be Sundays, so you could go to football on a Saturday. Then you got to be a bit better, so you got to play on a Saturday afternoon, so you had to miss a bit of it. And playing football came first.
So when you're right back and you're still going to the games and that, what's it like being on the supporters bus?
Brilliant. It's brilliant. It's an education, so it was. I actually remember going to watch Celtic and the supporters bus. It was a bus for Royston. It was in Milburn, it was called. Down to Celtic versus Rapid Vienna at Manchester. I was only a wee boy. It was a Wednesday night. It was brilliant. It was great night, so it was. We get beat 1-0, but just growing up and you hear these old stories and all that, and it wasn't like violence and chanting. It was Celtic stuff. It was just Celtic stuff. It was great songs, and that was brilliant. You should put money in the hat at the end for the bus drivers. They put a bonnet round to the driver and collect money. It was brilliant.
And is that where the dream to be a footballer started?
Always wanted to play football. You're wee boys, if you watch Celtic or any of your teams, it's not just to play for that club. I just wanted to be a professional football player. Whether it was Partick Thistle or Stirling Albion, I just wanted to go and be a man, playing a football part with the men.
So where did it begin? Where did the youth football boys club start?
Boys club football started at Broomfield Boys Club. Yeah, it's very close to our house, just all the end of the road. It was great. A guy called Jim Kerr and Jim McNichol. My dad got involved in that team. That's probably how I got a game. Probably the favourite. No, my dad was quite tough on us in the game. Sometimes my dad was would maybe say things to me that maybe other kids would get away with, but I think he just had to show other kids that I wasn't a favourite.
Yeah.
Which happens. But it was Broomfield was great when we growing up. And I progressed from there to, I was at St Martha's School. I played for Glasgow Schools. I was captain of Glasgow Schools at primary school level. And when I leave there, I ended up going to West Park, Celtic North, then West Park United, who were big in Bishopbrigg at the time. There's West Park and there's Rossville up there now. In recent years, Rossville's come on to a right big place, so it's a really big club. So now. But back then, West Park were bigger. And some great players come through that. It was brilliant. Under 14s, 15s and that. And I get to under 16s. Before you know I ended up training with Peter Saul Juniors one night. The guy called Ian Young and Sam Miller. And you could turn up to a guy called Jimmy Kiddie, the old man. He invited me up to train. And to train these adults was different. That's what probably helped me. I was probably a wee bit behind some of my pals at football. I had a lot of other pals who were tougher and harder and about tackles and headers. I was a wee bit timid and maybe a bit cocky. Yeah. But no, actually, I was turtleneck, a bit fear. You know, but when you go and play with men, you either sink or swim. So if you get a belt in the jaw, you've got to either lie down and cry or jump up and go, I'm getting back in amongst them here. That's what I had to do at Peter Saul. I was only 15, as I say. And we played a friendly one night. Played one against Thornleywood Juniors. I got 20 minutes. I done really well. And the following Monday we played Hamilton Accies in a friendly. And it turned out John Parks was involved with Hamilton Accies at the time. Mm-hmm. A guy called Alan Robertson. And John Parks asked Ian Young, would Gerry come to training with Hamilton? That's when it sort of really progressed, so it did. It flourished. Hamilton wanted to give me a YTS. We were training up at the Jockstein Pavilion up in Hamilton. I was training with Hamilton under 18s and that. And offered me a YTS. But in between times, I've been training with a guy called John McCormick. He was a well-known guy at Partick Thistle, Cowboy McCormick. I was going to his coaching sessions, and he heard I was going to go and sign for Hamilton. And he phoned Jim Duffy and got me down for a trial at Farrell. And I met Jim Duffy and Dougie Bell coming off a team minibus one day at Farrell. and I trained for 2 weeks, played a couple of friendly games, and I got an apprenticeship at Partick Thistle, and I loved it. Partick Thistle was local. I love my local teams. I love Celtic, but see, your local team, you love your local team, so you do.
See, just before you get to the Ackies and then Thistle as well,
Yeah.
playing younger and you're just playing with your pals, you're just playing locally, not being in that sort of academy setup, do you think that was vital to you? And do you think that needs to sort of be rejuvenated a bit more? All these young kids are getting snapped up under 8 and going to big clubs.
I was a bit, maybe a wee bit less than some of my pals. But see, some of my pals, back then it was an S forum, it was called. Signed an S forum or an X forum, and you went and trained with Hamilton Ackies or St Mirren, who it was, and you were stuck with them. I felt it was once you go there, you're learning one thing and one thing only. So I was probably fortunate enough to go about boys club teams, and you learn off different people. Maybe somebody's like 6 months older than you, he learns you how to hold somebody off. Another guy learns how to tackle somebody, how somebody to dribble. You pick things up. Sometimes if you go to one club, you're getting taught like a robot, do this, no off the cuff. Whereas I think we're maybe missing that a wee bit now. Now we're teaching kids to go one way with it, just go that way with it. You see, once after 2 years, they've not done it, they're failed out at the door. So they've built this up to go, where they go now? So I think it's important for kids to learn different aspects of the game. I know they're getting coached different coaching methods, but they've got to learn a wee bit better than there, you know.
Bit more versatile.
It's got to be. It can't be just. There's a lot of kids getting this pro youth project now, and it's really hard because something you put on a pedestal, and even their families put them on pedestals, and sometimes the kid falls. The parents can't deal with the fall more than the kid. So now the kid's sitting going, but did you know? Well, the mum and dad sitting going, my boys don't Celtic, my boys no Aberdeen. It's hard for the parents, that is the kid.
So how old are you when you get to Partick Thistle? What age?
16-year-old.
16.
16, it was brilliant. I get into Partick Thistle, and back then, you're playing reserve football sometimes. You're rapid now, 16. The boys younger than me, even coming at 15, got reserve football. And that's the best thing. Reserve football is the best thing ever. There was a Reserve League West, a Reserve League East for the East Coast, and a Premier Reserve League on a Saturday. So we actually played at the stadiums. So for talking sake, Celtic are playing at Aberdeen next week. The reserves would play at Celtic Park on Saturday. Even during the week, you played a lot of games at Celtic Park and all these stadiums. It was great to learn. I got to play with guys like Gordon Ray, Hibs legend, unbelievable. Grant Tierney's, Davy Irons, Ray Farningham's, Dougie Bell played with Rangers, won European Cups. That's who did. Dougie Bell, a legend.
What's it like learning for these?
It's the best thing ever.
You can't no learn for them.
That's where you get a sponge, you soak things up, so you do. See, reserve football, you'll play with men and you actually do men's things. Whereas now you'll play under 20 development football now. And you'll get the ball for the goalkeeper, they'll pass it there. Pass it. See, come a Saturday, that doesn't happen like that. The game changes, and sometimes you've got to get that ball, put it somewhere else, put it somewhere we don't want to put. Sometimes you've got to go a bit longer. But we're getting this ball, somebody drop down, get the ball for the goalkeeper, pass, keep pass. It can't be. And it can't be, just pass it across the park. There's got to be an end production. You know, you look at, I bet I watched a few 20s games. I spoke to Steve about it. You get maybe a right back, grab the ball with the line. You've got the ball with the line, you run maybe 50, 60 yards with the ball, and no cross it and come back out the way. Pass across the park and go to the other side. What's the point in doing a 60-yard run not to cross the ball? Put the ball in the box. Goals are scored in the box.
Absolutely.
You know?
Do you think there's room for that sort of reserve league to come back and
I think so.
Prevalent?
I think to help them, even probably help the national team. I think kids got to learn how to play with men that are younger, because they've got to be. There's a side of the game that's not always about passing. There's a horrible side of the game. Sometimes you've got to just get to run here. You know, I know it's a different game plan for tackling that now, and I respect that. And the heading side of the game's going out the game a wee bit and on now, so I respect that for health reasons and that. But there's a side of the game that's got to be a wee bit horrible at times.
Still contact sport then.
It's got to be. It's got to be.
So you're in the reserves league. Are you still in touch with Jim Duffy? What's he like as a?
No, Jim Duffy. I've not in touch with him, but I knew Jim Duffy for years since I was a young boy, and Jim Duffy was probably ahead of his time. Jim Duffy was brilliant as a coach as a kid. Alec Forsyth and Graham Diamond were also involved in the reserves in the youth team there, and they were brilliant for me. Graham Diamond and Alec. But Jim Duffy, probably somebody for the young boys to look up to. He's probably come to end his career at Thistle. And Thistle got promoted that year, actually won the league in 1991 to get to the Premier League. And Jim Duffy was a leader. Jim did bad knees. That's what he did. But his reading of the game is phenomenal. I used to ask my father about him at Celtic and all that, how Jim Duffy never made it at Celtic. I think at that time, guys like Roy Ake came that on in front of him that year. It was hard for him, but you could see the class, how he could read the game, and he was aggressive. Jim Duffy wasn't a big 6'5" man like that, but he was tough, he was brave, very brave. Very brave, he could read the game brilliantly. And hear Jim Duffy talking to you. You're not talking to a man. Sometimes you can get mollycoddled at football and boys tell you you're doing well, a man tells you you're doing well, you're not really doing well. And you probably know when you get him, I've not done well today. I guess he had done alright. He didn't really. Jim Duffy was actually quite straight with you. That way, you know. Thistle back in was a good club, you know. He's John Lambie in charge, who's really funny.
Look back on your time at Thistle then with very fond
Loved
memories.
it. It was probably good for me to learn because the team we played in, that was my first probably taste of really men's and seniors football. And playing with guys like Lee Collins, who ended up a career at Swindon and doing England a lot. Tough, shoot bottles, a lot of David Seggies and that. And so young boy Stephen Dockett, good careers. They were all tough boys. I had to learn with them. And I got to learn where to put the ball, where to beat the right times of the park when I was young. Probably the challenge and the tackling side of the game probably didn't come to us maybe 18, 19, get a wee bit more tougher, but I was learning it all the time. And I always wanted to train. I didn't miss it, I always wanted to train. And training was tough at Thistle because you'd done a lot of running, so we'd done a lot of running, especially if there was no buzz.
How long did you spend at Thistle and what was
I was there for just over a year, my apprenticeship. And Jim Duffy leaves to take the number 2 job at Dundee with Simon Steinrod. Okay. And probably, I think it was 16 YTSs, I think only 2 get kept. I think one was Stephen Docherty. The other one was Gavin Duncan, who went on to a professional contract, who became a top Scottish junior player. Lee Collins, I see he got released and he ended up went to Albion Rovers and he ended up at Swindon Town with some career in England, he was some player. But football can be quite ruthless that way. You can get let go when you can progress. Sometimes you can use it as a, no day, I'm going to bounce back to this and show somebody.
And where did we go after Thistle? What was the next move?
Thistle, I'm back to Poso IM, under 18, the local team right beside Poso, and I loved it. Ricky Rogan, Will Bobby Dinner up involved there, Will Arthur Mitchell. It was great. And then I played a wee bit, enjoyed my time there. I done well for probably about a year. Then a guy called Billy Lamont, who was in charge of Dumbarton, got in touch and says, brings you in for a trial. So I went for a trial at the old Kilbowie Park against Clydebank one night. And Dumbarton were 3-0 up at half time, we were like Brazil. In the second half, we beat 4-3, we were like Blue Brazil, we were like Cowden Beef. We were terrible. But he says after the game, she's done brilliant, you showed potential, son. He said, I don't sign many people after a game, but I'll sign you. So I'm doing to talk to him for contract talks, but I didn't know what contract talks were. I was like a boy. He said, would you like to sign? I think I asked for £400 or £500. He just got the briefcase, shut it and went like that. You got £200 and like it and walked out of the room and gave Post on my £200. And my first wage, I think, was £15 a week, I think it was. £15 a week at Dumbarton.
Part-time?
Yes, I loved it. I would have went full time for £15 a week back then. I just wanted to play football. I wanted to play football, I wanted to run, play football. I wanted to go and play the first team, the reserves. I wanted to join in. You might be part of something, so you do.
And were you reserves or did you make your way in at the first
No,
team?
I got a few first team at Dumbarton. I was a kid, I was only 18, aye. Billy Lamont left after about 3 months, he went to Alloa, Murdo McLeod comes in. But that time, a few other players, Murdo had a budget to sign some more players, and it was hard for me to get through. And I was still learning at Dumbarton. At Dumbarton, I wasn't ready for the first team. Maybe as much as I thought I wasn't ready for it. Even other clubs as we go in here, you'll find I wasn't ready. Physically or mentally. But Dumbarton was good. It's an experience again, you're learning all the time. You're always learning, so you can train with Murdo and that, you learn things off Murdo McLeod, the guys like that, you know. Some of the first team players in there were phenomenal, it's brilliant. We end up with guys like Fraser Wishart playing with, who played with a lot of teams in Scotland, so we had Fraser Wishart. It was good, you know.
You must have remembered Murdo from his time at Celtic.
Oh, Murdo was a legend at Celtic. The Rhino, he was a hard man. He could still he used to throw tackles, but even training, he'd be give you the treatment, so he would, you know. That's part of growing up.
Absolutely. So the reserve team, you're still 17, 18. It's still learning. You're still coming up against guys like Gordon Ray and that then, or?
Back then, no, you actually, when we go to Dumbarton, I started playing reserve games at Dumbarton. We played Rangers and Celtic a few times. I played against, I think it was it Kuznetsov one night, played for Rangers one night against a reserve game. That was the Reserve League West. I think Rangers were playing, Rangers had loads of players back then. Even the odd night they would throw in some of the young boys, they would throw in a couple of experienced players in amongst it. And it was some experience. Imagine playing against somebody saying you're playing against Trevor Stephen tonight, or Kuznetsov or something, or Milkavichenko. As he says that, it's frightening. You don't him telling all your pals.
So you're at Dumbarton, you're doing well, and then Dunfermline come calling.
Yes.
How exciting is that?
Well, what happened was I was at Dunfermline, Dumbarton, and I actually got released at the end of my 2 years at Dumbarton. So I'm probably 19 at this time. I get back to Post under 21s at the time again.
Right.
A guy called Jim Gillespie takes me back there. And we're only there for a couple of weeks. I'll play up at Augustine School in Milton. Me and a boy called Martin Glancy are playing. And I think Dave McParlin's there. Feed on firm, sure as David's done. And he said, I like the boy Farrell and the boy Glancy come up for training with us. So we get invited up. You know, and after 2 weeks, Jackie McNamara was still there these 2 weeks. I go and train, and in between these 2 weeks, Jackie McNamara signs for Celtic, and they signed me to replace him. I played 2 reserve games, I got 2 in, and actually got me to replace Jackie McNamara. He made his debut for Celtic at Brockville, I'm sure it was. Celtic won, I made my debut against Dun United Challenge Cup at East End Park, and we also gained 4-1. I come off the bench that night, and then I sort of kicked onto there, but Dunfermline was brilliant. A great club, great people.
Some stadium as well, East End Park.
East End Park was brilliant, but it was the crowd that was in Tappy back then, and the big running track down it and that. It was mobbed. The people were really good to me up there. Really nice to me. Really nice to me. But Dunfermline, but back in you top players, you had the in-goal guys like Ian Westwater, Guido van der Kamp, 2 top goalkeepers. You playing with Big Norrie McCarthy, who sadly passed away that year, so we'll probably get into that. Colin Millers, Alan Moores, Matt Miller, Craig Robertson, Neil Cooper.
Neil Cooper, exactly.
God rest him, big Neil down, you know. I get one European Cup Winners' Cup. So they're playing with top players. And that's where I think I started progressing better. I started getting more aware. As much as when you're playing and the manager says, how you doing? And you do this, do that, Jerry. You do it. And you talk about it after the game, he'll go that to you. How do you think about that? And I'll go, that was brilliant, Gaffer. But I didn't know what he was talking about because I was riding a wave. I'm just going, I know what you're talking about. But I didn't. I was just going to agree because I just wanted to go and away home now, come back out and play football tomorrow again.
I see some top coaches and managers at Dunfermline at that time.
Oh, aye. Bert was brilliant. Bert and Dick Campbell, 2 funny characters. Really characters. Bert was very knowledgeable. He was from people, he was quite quiet. Whereas Dick was the middleman who would be a good contact between the players and the manager, and Bert would come and give you a cuddle. And so Dick would come and give you a cuddle and go, aye, Gaffer's talking about this and Gaffer's thinking about that. Make me feel good. Very clever Dick. Very clever Dick Campbell.
Why he's still kicking about now?
I listen to Dick talking, he's very intelligent. And he's actually quite, he speaks a lot of sense, Dick. You hear Dick talking in interviews and that, he talks a lot of sense. He actually, as much as he's probably changed with times, he's a lot of old school Dick, and there's a lot of good things in him. A lot of good things in Dick Campbell.
Just his full time at Dunfermline, yeah.
I was full time at Dunfermline, aye.
What's that transition like?
Brilliant. I was travelling with Alan Moore, a big guy called Andy Smith, and Colin Miller in the mornings. Eventually Tommy Callaghan joins him as we travel, and I was a young boy. They were good to me. You get a hard time after them, but they were good to me. So they were. Alan Moore especially. I've been at a few clubs with Alan Moore over the years, and Alan Moore done a lot to help me in my life, even my life, and then my career.
You touched on it there. What was it like? Were you at the club when Norrie died?
Yes, I was there. I remember the morning we began. We're driving up through, it's Crossford on the way up to it. And Norrie stayed in a wee farmhouse, wee cottage on the right hand side down a wee hill. I remember driving about it. We get a phone call on the way in, it happened. It's sad. And then we get to the stadium, we get told to come inside and get explained a wee bit about it. No, it's very, very, very sad. Norrie was lovely. See, you go to some football clubs, you'll get some players who want to slag you in front of, like, they'll shout at you, Jerry, do this, do that, and look at the manager for a reaction. It sort of brings the kid down. But it's big Norrie would actually come and talk to you and tell you, don't do this, don't do that, do it this way. Or actually, I remember one time in training, an older player shouted at me, down at Petrivi. And Norrie looked at him, no, that boy done it right there. You should done it wrong. And actually, see, because it came from Norrie's voice, it was alright. But see, if I'd said that, because I'm 19, you'd not get an opinion. But because it came from Norrie's voice, the guy respected it. Norrie was a lovely guy, big Norrie. A lovely guy. It was sad times that for Norrie and the girl. Very sad.
What was, touching back on, obviously this is your full time now at Dunfermline, it's a totally different culture you're sort of being introduced to. Is this when the gambling sort of started? You're on a little bit more money, full time? The
gambling started before Dunfermline.
Before Dunfermline?
Yes, before it. I was gambling one day at a pub, and I was in the National Bar in Postal, I remember it. Somebody got a tip for a horse. I put £10 on it, and I won it. It was 12 or 14 to 1. My first ever bet. I won. And then that was me caught. And half an hour later I was skint tapping 20 quid in the pub. And I wasn't a big drinker even, just gambling. It's before you know into a fruit machine. Fruit machines became an addiction, lights, attractions, which is still a big thing in the modern day, the fruit machines and the puggies and all that stuff. Because you don't see a fruit machine in the corner sitting, we need lights on, build it. Fruit machines are always something to attract you with lights, bright lights to draw you in. That's where I was caught with the gambling. The gambling just got worse and worse over the years, really bad. Really bad.
Do you think when you go full time, because you have that, it's almost not like a void to fill, but you've got free time on your hands. Does gambling just sort of fill it, or?
Aye, back then it was a gambling culture.
Yeah.
I don't know about football, the culture is now. But I remember reading about John Terry that a few years ago and that, and he had massive gambling problems. So, I think, as you say, in Scotland, we train in the mornings. We're talking we train at 10 o'clock. You'll be finished on most days, 12 o'clock. Maybe a bite to eat 12:30, you're back down for 1 o'clock. The race starts at between 1:30 and 2. It's ideal times. We seen training in the afternoon as a punishment in Scotland. Whereas we should have done more of that. Yeah. We should have went and done more training in the afternoons. Actually, maybe took it off my mind back to go, lads, I'm not travelling back to Glasgow this week. I'm going to stick digs up on your keys and me Mo and do a bit of training every day to help me. But I didn't. I say, you're riding a wave. You don't realise you've got a problem. You don't realise you've got a problem. You know?
As I spoke about in the dressing room, you say you're aware that there's a culture, almost everyone's sort of aware without, it's like that unspoken sort of gem. But
you don't want to admit you've got a problem when you're young. Even back in that era, I think that era, it's a different era now. Everything's about helping people and health and safety and help somebody and get them off drugs, drink, gambling, anything. I think there's more avenues to open to look at. But back then, people can go, I had a coupon on Saturday. You check your coupon after the game. Most players. You've been getting your pie and bother after the game or something. I even didn't know. You got a pie and a bother after the game. Football players, you don't hear that, do you? What if you had a pie? No. It's all healthy. Everything's healthy now. Sports science and all that stuff. But it was a gambling culture. And I was right in amongst it. Aye, I was really caught. Some people could probably put a coupon on and walk away. But I'd put a coupon on, might be a horse, might be a dog. They might go and play the machine. And if I walked away, if I walked away 80 quid and I walked away with 20 quid, sometimes you're actually happy sometimes to go, hello, 60 quid, still got 20 in my pocket. So, sometimes you want to happy to you lost everything.
Did any clubs ever intervene?
No, really. I think Roy McGregor, a wee bit at Ross County's helped me, a wee bit Neil Cooper at Ross County spoke at sort of times. I went through a tough time when my son was born. That was about 1998 was roughly. But nobody really jumped in and went, you need to look at that, I need to help this, I need that. Really, no, it wasn't that. I said, you didn't want to admit you had a problem. You didn't want to tell anybody you had a problem. It's
not helped, and it's still so current now. The amount of adverts and promotions for betting. Do you think that there's an issue there within football? You watch Sky Sports, and then at half time it's
hypocrisy.
Exactly.
So you're trying to tell someone don't gamble. Then they'll put this big light up. Next goal scorer 14-1. You've got Ray Winston shouting, great goal, bet Fred. And we tell a bit of writing going, gamble aware.
It's like, as you say, so then Neil Cooper's, you're with him at Dunfermline.
Aye.
He goes up to Ross County.
Aye.
Does he take you with him, or
Aye.
do you follow him?
Well, we win the league at Dunfermline. We get to the Premier League. And we signed a lot more players at Dunfermline, better standards coming. And it was hard to make in. Trained hard, so I went and worked and had trained hard. I went and played a reserve game one day down against Hearts, Edinburgh. And I was, probably frustration is getting the better of me. I know I'm on the first team squad and I'm a bit demented, but I should probably just been happy and glad, which I always was, to be part of a football club, but I was frustrated. I answered David McParlin back, and I told David, F off. Old Davey, he's an old legend to. I want to thank him for the time, and I never recovered for that. And I probably should have been maybe remorse toward Davey. I went and spoke to Dick Campbell, says, sorry what I've done there. But I just carried on as normal, because you're young, you think this is going to last forever. A few weeks later I spoke to Dick, and he says, Tatty's coming to you. That's Neil Cooper. He says he's coming to you at Ross County, he wants to take you up there. See if you like it or not. So I went and spoke to Tatty. Tatty said, I'd like to have you up here for a year at least. I spoke to Dick, and Dick went, the best thing for you is to go and play football, son. You need to play. And he says, I didn't want to flirt with you, son. I didn't want to flirt with you, son. He says, but when I didn't talk to you, you start worrying. And sure enough, when Dick stopped talking to you, that's when you knew your career was done. Dick always told us that. But I loved the people. I mean, awfully grateful guys like Dick and Bert and Davey and that. Then they helped me in another stage of life, getting better and stronger, playing as men, playing at a better level, and finding my feet a wee bit more in football.
So you had a really good time up at Dunfermline, sorry. Then you go up to Ross County. It's a step. Do you see it as a step down? Because what league are Ross County in?
On the boat league at the time, but I found it. I went for Premier Reserve football at the time. I was playing reserves with Dunfermline in the Premier League. I went for win the Championship, which was good, and I was in and out of the team. Won the league, it was good. Get to Premier League, and I'm not ready. I'm nowhere near ready to go and compete against Premier League players. I could maybe run all that, but decision making, I was still too naive in the head. I got to Ross County, I felt When I went for reserve league for Dunfermline, the Premier League, to play with Ross County's first team, it was a step up, I felt. The reason for that is you're playing for a reason. You're playing for a win bonus. You're playing in front of a crowd. You know, so as a reason, you need to work really hard. When you're in the reserves, you can go through the emotions. And you can be in a wee comfort zone. It's just, I'm playing against somebody else who doesn't really care. When you're playing a Saturday where it's Ross County via Broth or Ross County via Elgin City, I've got another wee guy playing for a 50 quid win bonus here who really wants it. And he's getting tore into me here. So it was, Ross County was a step up for me at that way. And it was brilliant. Ross County, I think I was their first really full-time player. And when I first go there, I'm training with Motherwell, Neil Cooper's friend about at the police at the time, Andy Watson. He said, instead of coming to Ross County, you're at stay now, go and train with Motherwell to get things up and running up here and get more full-timers in. I trained with Motherwell for a few weeks, a couple of months. And actually, at that time at Motherwell, all the first team boys, you want to get involved with the first team training, you're training with the kids. I said to them, I'm training the kids. Eventually I go and train with Clyde, with Gardner Spears and Gordon Wilde. And it was brilliant. You have to actually train with Clyde at that time in the Championship, First Division. It was good training with him. Then Ross County signed a couple of their full-time players. Stevie Ferguson comes from Dunfermline. Roy McBain comes from Dundee. Kenny Gilbert comes from Hull. Alan Morgan comes in from Aberdeen. We build up a wee Gary Wood as well, comes in from doing Musselburgh way. It was started to build up a wee full-time club there. It was great.
So it's a really interesting time to be up at Dingwall.
Yes.
You enjoyed Dingwall?
Loved it. Highland people are brilliant. The Highlanders are absolutely brilliant. And Roy was so good to me. So was a couple of directors, but Roy was good to me. Neil Cooper was really good to me. Yeah, Big Tatty was good to us, but Roy McGregor was brilliant. So Roy was very approachable to us, to talk to. I was up there for 2 seasons. The 2 seasons up there was a thing called the PFA Player of the Years. I was playing for fullback, and 2 years in a row I got nominated for the PFA Player of the Year in Scotland. It's one of these Dickie Bow dues you go to the end of the year and that, you know. I feel like a place with Dickie Bow. I'm a tracksuit man and a pair of denims on. I was sweating, so we got to do it. It was great to be nominated like this year. It's voted by your fellow pros.
Yeah. It's
good that players, other clubs actually go, nominate Gerry Farrell. So I know votes to get nominated, and it was brilliant. We played the cut a good run in the Scottish Cup. Airdrie, Dundee's, that beat up some good teams in it. It was really good. And we played Airdrie one night, sure enough, and we played them at Broadwood, when Airdrie were sharing Broadwood with Clyde. We drew 0-0. And we got a replay at Dingwall, Victoria Park, and we beat them 1-0. And we gave him a guy called Tony Smith, who was really fit at the time. Strong player, Tony. We ended up going to Dundee United for Airdrie. I gave him a right tough time. And one of their directors, Campbell Craig, knew me through Brian Campbell. And he says we come down pre-season. I'd left Ross County and Airdrie for training. I got a deal with Alec MacDonald, and I got to meet the guy who Alec MacDonald and Gary Mackay and Walter Kidd and all these. I got to meet all these people who were special, so they were. Airdrie was brilliant, great club. These guys I'm playing with guys new who are actually Hearts for 1985-86 era, Kenny Blacks, Jimmy Sandersons. These are guys who actually nearly won the league, playing these top players. I'm actually a teammate of theirs. I know it's 12 years down the line, 13 years down the line. Alan Moore, Sanderson, Sandy Shoot, Paul Jack, John Martin in goals. I'm playing with really good professionals who, if a manager wasn't training, these guys would train to a high standard without the manager being there. Some guys, when the manager was away, mess about kicking out the ball. These guys will train, thoroughly train. And I learned probably so much of Alex MacDonald as a person, as a manager, because he sat and spoke with me. He did sit and speak to me, Alex MacDonald. And I still keep in touch with him this day. Every week I still talk to Alex MacDonald. And a lot of time for him.
Well, come back to Airdrie, but just on your time at Ross County, was there any sense that being up in Dingwall, you're sort of away from that central belt, the intenseness of being here? Did the gambling maybe ease up there? It's a quieter culture, like you say, it's a beautiful place, or not really?
No, I loved Ross County. It was like bookies in the main street. You always find the bookies somewhere, don't you? We stayed in a place called, we stayed in Dingwall Town Centre. It was called the National Hotel at first. Then we moved up to a place called the Castle. Then we ended up staying in a place called Colbokey, which is, I think they put us up in it was like a safe house, so it was 6 miles from anywhere to a phone box you couldn't get in. The electricity was a big switch in the corner, you know. I was scared, but terrified. But there was a bookies in the main street, and I was doing hanging about the bookies in the afternoons, you know, just losing my money. You fed yourself up there, really. We got we're down at a club, but at night times you had to feed yourself in the house we're staying in, or the hotel, to buy your own food and that. And sometimes that's that bad, you actually spending £8 in messes. We usually spend 40 quid or 30 quid a week in messes. I spent £8 on pure cheap rubbish here. Crap to feed myself a week because I've gambled on a fruit machine or I've lost everything. Aye. You always find, see, gamblers always find something somewhere to gambling. You always find something somewhere. It's a pub, a pub for a ginger, just to play a fruit machine.
Where do you think you were at your happiest? Obviously, we're talking about Ross County, Airdrie, certainly where you played your best sort of football, but where were you happiest?
Happiest? Dunfermline, when I was young, I loved it. Probably a bit more innocent. Airdrie, I was older. I loved Airdrie. I loved Airdrie. Dunfermline was good, but I loved Airdrie for the dressing room I was in. For being probably a bit younger than all the guys. I was probably 25 when I was at Airdrie. Most of the guys are 32s, 33s, and that, all the guys are older than me, and they accepted me as one of their own. Whereas at Dunfermline I was probably 19, and the guys like Craig Roberts that were all probably 30s. That you're probably not really accepted. There's probably that invisible wall. Yeah. But at Airdrie I was accepted, and because you're an equal tight teammate, you're really part of something. And Airdrie was probably the happiest I was Airdrie. Aye, definitely.
We're talking about that Hearts contingent that were at Airdrie. Just how good a side were you? Because these guys don't lose it, like you say. These are top professionals, and no matter what age they are, they don't lose it.
No, brilliant so. Kenny Black was, I think, was 34, 35. Kenny saw it. He was a machine. His upper body was great. Aaron Moore's the same. Physical condition tremendous. Jimmy Sanderson running about with the wristbands on. He thought it was 1980s. But Airdrie was great pros. I'm trying to think. Maybe they can't right. We beat Celtic now. We draw with Rangers. We beat Celtic 1-0. It was a night of a penalty. I think Joe Vengos, the manager, that night at Shivery. We Alan Moore won the penalty and Marvin Wilson scores it. But Airdrie was probably the best, probably the happiest times in my career. I was still gambling though, but I was happy. I was playing football. I was in the first team squad. If no starting, on the bench, or in the squad majority of the time. When I played the reserve football, I still loved going and playing it. But I just loved being part of Airdrie because it was probably wasn't as many numbers squad-wise. I think Dunfermline was maybe a squad of 28 players. I think Airdrie was maybe a squad of 19. So you weren't always far away. So even if you worked hard, you were always on the fringes. And the gaffer was very fair with us. Even there was, sometimes he would drop me and I'd feel as if he'd drop me unfairly. He would come and talk to you and you would understand what he was talking about further down the line.
You've mentioned before how big a presence your dad was in your early career. Obviously, coming back down to Airdrie then, so you're a bit closer to home. They must be ridiculously proud how well you've done up at Ross County. Like you say, these PFA nominations, they don't just come round to anybody. Yeah. Is it nicer being a bit closer to home again, or do you feel more in the cauldron? My son was born in 97, so when I came back to Airdrie, my son's 99, I came back to Airdrie. And it was better for my son as well. I wanted to be around with my son. My mum and father did proud, as you see, up at Ross County. I done well up there and that. But I was glad to be back near people. I'm quite see in Glasgow years ago, you get a seat night time at 10 o'clock, you got to show up and get a paper for the next day. I was up in Ross County, you had to wait 2 days for the next day's paper. But Glasgow itself was brilliant. Airdrie itself, as a club, were phenomenal. I felt I should have still done better though. I felt I was fit, I didn't have a bad attitude, but at most clubs I should have applied myself a bit better. I should have get maybe torn in a bit better. I probably maybe wee bits of problems with myself, mentality stuff, like taking things in, shooting information and keeping it. Whereas, as I say to some managers, would say to you, do you know what I'm talking about, Jerry? And I'd go, I do know what you're talking about, Gaffer. But I didn't. But Alan McDonald picked up on that and he actually sat me down sometimes in his office. Sometimes after training I was demented and he'd go, mate, I talk to you. He'd show me a bit of paper and write things down. Whereas other managers would just go, you need to learn, you don't learn. Alan McDonald took time for me. You've said it yourself that it was maybe the mentality side of things that you lacked. On the pitch, you had it all. Do you think that your mind was preoccupied by the gambling? Were you constantly maybe thinking of, like you say, the race at 3:55?
You could be. I think I wasn't thinking about a race when I was on the park. I wasn't thinking about a cooking when I was on the park. But obviously I'm not preparing properly. So if I'm going to the bookies at 12:30 and I'm meeting the team at 1 o'clock for a pre-match meal or 12 o'clock, I'm putting a cooking. I'm not preparing myself for this game. So prepare to fail prepare. You know. So I just really, I should have got myself maybe more organised in the mornings. I seen some of my teammates, I looked at them, and I wasn't unorganised, I was shut and tired of the place, but They looked fresh, they had a motor, they smelt good, their hair was done, all that. I felt as if I was just going, what's happening next? What are we doing? Right, get the ball, we'll play football. Right, we'll get him now. They were all quite organised people in life. That's how they probably get bank managers doing their mortgages now and they're retired for life, where I'm still going, right, we're playing 5-a-side tomorrow now. I want to get my football tonight.
Do you think, when is it things are going so well at Airdrie, are you sort of preparing that things aren't like, there's financial woes at Airdrie?
Yes.
Was that running in your mind? Is that a worry?
Yes, it was, because Josh was young, he's my boy, and I wasn't on great wages. I was never on great wages at clubs. I was happy enough to get a full-time wage. Happy enough to get a full-time wage, but at that time, KPMG came in, administrators, liquidators, and we were on to 50% wages. And I was on something like a bonus for X amount of appearances. And it cost me a lot of money. It was a lot of money to me. Some people lost £30,000-40,000. I think it cost my wages. There's a bit of sign-on fee money for appearances. I think it cost me something like £15,000. I lost it. I couldn't afford to live that way. So this time Alan McDonald had left and Gary Mackay and Walter Kidd took the job.
Right.
Walter Kidd, another legend. Zico. And they came and spoke and said, listen Jerry, we're in a situation with you. We're on half wages always. Every player is up for grabs. He says, I think Austin McKenna ended up going to Hearts. Eddie Forrest went to Motherwell. They went there, and I went to Alloa. So I went to Alloa. And I went to Alloa for the same money I was on at Airdrie as a bigger wage. But when I went to Alloa, it was part-time.
Right.
And I got to play with a couple of good guys. Andy Walker was there at the time. Gary Clark's, Roy Irving's, Craig Valentine's and that. But it was part-time. You see, you go part-time. And I'm probably not preparing properly when I'm full-time. What chance have I got when I'm part-time? I didn't think about that. I just thought about getting the wage. So I went to Alloa. I didn't train properly, probably. I wasn't, my diet's never been outstanding as it is. 6 bags of fish and a bit of Dorito dip and I'm sitting happy enough. But I still trained and I didn't carry weight. I was quite trim when I played football. You might not believe that, but I was. And so I went to train that, but just I didn't apply myself properly again, training wise. That I went there for probably 3 months and we won the league again. We won the league. We got promoted. We said our first. We got promoted to the championship in the first division. And I just didn't like it. I played a couple of games for Forfar on loan with Ian McPhee. He wanted to sign me. Then I phoned a guy called Stephen McCormick one day who played with me at Airdrie, a big 6'4" centre forward, big Stevie, played with Stirling Albion, Airdrie. He says, I'm doing it at Clydebank, Jerry. Clydebank must have a senior club. He says, Tommy Coyne's here. Tommy Coyne was asking about you. He said he played against you last year he was at Falkirk. He was impressed with you. So I said, aye. He says, do for training, see what you like. It was only short-term contracts at Clydebank. And I went there and I went to Clydebank for a season. I loved it. I went full-time, part-time, full-time, part-time. I think the fact I've actually went down and come back up, down, come back up, shows I must have had something. I must have had something. I've got a desire in my belly to go. You went part-time, you go full-time again. I went part-time, you go full-time again. So you go down lower, you need to work harder to come back up. So I went to full-time with Clydebank for a year again. It was Tommy Coyne. It was good. And Derek Ferguson came in and took the manager's job for a while. Tony Fitzpatrick. It was another good time in my life, Clydebank.
Just going back to Alloa there, like you say, it's that up and down sort of yo-yo effect. You are unhappy, obviously. The gambling's still an issue. And with gambling, mental health issues, come in hand in hand. Do you think a sense of depression sort of came along there? You're not applying yourself right in your own words?
Aye, definitely. Depression was probably there for a long time with me. You don't see it coming because if you're earning wages, you probably think you're happy. Something you hang on your head in life you don't know and you find it hard to deal with. It can just come and hit you. I probably struggled with things for years, dealing with things. The gambling probably the biggest thing. Dealing with that was really hard. I didn't really address the gambling till probably in the last 2 or 3 years. Last 2 years probably. I addressed the gambling a lot better. Last 2 years, I've really addressed the gambling. Really addressed it. I'm proud of myself for that. I've came a long way. It's a hard thing to do sometimes, is quit something, you know. But came a long way with that. The depression side of it, I think that came from gambling and ended up turning to substance abuse. I took substances, so I think then combined on top of my own mental health, I think I've got problems myself without that. Combined, it was a lot to take for me. I found I struggled to cope with things.
Absolutely.
Lies coming up, even your family. I'm not talking about lies when you're doing criminality. I'm talking even lies to my mammy, going my mum, my dad. I've not been paid yet for my dig money. Just lines like that. I was just telling lies. My mammy, which I shouldn't need to do.
Tail end of your career, you go down to Berwick Rangers.
Yes.
Does the drug addiction does that start down there, or is it post career?
No, it's after the career.
Post career.
Didn't touch a drug when I played football at all. Was interested in it all that way. The gambling was still happening, obviously. So that's what led to the drugs. The gambling was still happening, aye. And I was at Berwick, and Berwick was good. It was part-time. Paul Smith played with Dunfermline. He was a manager. Character, good guy, Paul. And he invited me down to Berwick. Really enjoyed it. We played Rangers the Scottish Cup. We got a draw at Berwick at Shield Hill. Then we went to Ibrox and replay. We held Rangers to probably 65, 68 minutes. And we lost 3 goals in the last 20 minutes. So it's for that, back then, it was a big achievement, because I know Rangers fell down the leagues here. A couple of teams beat them. But the gap was closer. Yeah. By like players and the stand-up we played against was Canisius, Amorusos, Tor Andre Flows. It was top players, you know. I know Rangers go in the leagues, they bring in other players who are still above these Berwick standards, but the gap was closer. It was a big achievement for us, that. Yeah, I done really well that night, at the first game. The second game I done really well as well. So the whole team. Back then the gambling's still going. And my career's coming to an end, so it is.
Yeah.
You know, so struggled. So
the gambling, and then obviously the drugs sort of come into it. Is it essentially like filling a void that you don't have now with the football? How does it all sort of transpire?
I was travelling through with Steve this morning. I said that to him. I probably still struggle mentally trying to fill the void of football. Even just talking to somebody for football. You look for somebody to fulfill. I was earning my wages. I only knew football. I didn't educate myself. Like going to plumbing at college, or going to do something, or accountancy course or something like that. I still maybe done that. But I didn't. I was still gambling. So my football career's done when I go to junior football. And that's when people start going, "Do you know that guy over there?" I go, "Aye." I introduce a guy to somebody before you know what a guy gives you. That's £500 for introduction. And it's something like that. And you're caught. Then you start getting the green-eyed monsters pop up and they go, "I could do this. I could do that." You don't think the consequences. You're just thinking, but still I can still maintain my lifestyle. And I wasn't buying clays, watches or motors. I was gambling. I wasn't going, let's buy a fancy Jeep here, a fancy motor, a fancy watch. I was a gambler. All I seen was the next race. Standing there from 10 in the morning to 8 at night, shouting at tellies, getting beat, losing my money, you know. So
you go to Bells Hill for junior football?
Bellshill.
And is that you just get into the wrong crowd?
Bellshill's in McKinnon. Tommy Coyne and Rob McKinnon. They've left Clydebank. And me and a guy called Paul McGrillen, God rest young Paul. Paul committed suicide. And he signs us, he takes us to, gives us good money, good wages. Tommy and Rob. We get to the League Cup final right away. I get sent off in the League Cup final. The chairman wants to find me money. I'm arguing with the chairman. But I want my money. I want my wages. The chairman, I'm not paying your wages for 2 weeks. You sent off the cup final. And by this time I'm starting to explode inside. I'm getting angry in my life and all that. I'm not happy. I eventually leave Belsham, go to Shelton for a short time, but career's dying. I argue with a referee one day. I got a 2-year ban. Football's done. Where did I go? So I had to fill my pockets. And I didn't navigate my way into a job. I just thought about, I'm a scheme boy. I know scheme people. I know plenty of scheme guys. Guys know that guy, I know that guy. I can do what they can do. You know? And that's where it started. Aye.
I do think it's important to talk about, and you're great at doing so, Gerry, you really are. How does, because you end up in jail, you do end up in prison, how does it sort of transpire?
Well, caught up, you say, and drugs, there's no way to paint cracks with it. I wasn't good at what I was doing. I was caught in my lifestyle, organised crime. And before you know it, you're involved in this life, and you think you're earning money, and you're Jack Lad, and you're running about and turning a Saturday night, having a laugh. Before you know it, addictions happen as well. Most people that sell drugs, take drugs, end up taking drugs. So no many people go, I can sell you that. Yes, people always say, I don't bother with it. Following the night catches up with you, you end up getting caught in amongst that. That's happened to me. So as well as trying to be a criminal, or a jack of lad, you call it, I was becoming an addict. I was taking something. And when I was doing that, I was taking my eyes off the ball other places. It was all a matter of time before I went to prison. It might have been a year later, maybe a year sooner. It was all a matter of time. It happened to me. And I made loads of mistakes. I was making loads and loads of mistakes. And my lifestyle was spiralling, and I was telling lies to my pals, so-called pals, on, that money's here, that money's there. I was spending the bookies still. So if I talked to I'd picked up money, I was going to the bookies, the motor, money sitting in the motor. I'm going back and forth to the motor all day. And people walking the bookies going, "You all right, Jerry?" I'm sweating, so. And people know you're telling lies. People can tell, going to you, he's at it. He's telling porkies here. I'm sitting, maybe they come in and go, maybe some old guy in the pub, in the bookies, went in the pub and went like that. Jerry's just in there shouting at the telly and all that. And the guy would walk in and I go, I was thinking, Brian, you need everything's all right and all that. When it's no, the guy can look at you and tell you're under pressure here. And probably I rode that way for a couple of years. And before you know it, was a Saturday morning, one morning, I was going to watch my boy play football at Glasgow Green. Usually went somewhere, picked something up, and before you know it, operation right on me. And caught it lovely. And deservedly so, probably. Aye, definitely.
How old's your son at the time?
Josh is 8-year-old. Aye, 2005. Aye, 2005. Josh is 8 at the time. 8 and a half. Aye, I got caught Saturday morning. It was a weekend, Jaws Burley get sacked for Hearts. I remember it. Aye, in Bird Street Police Station. Somebody handing in papers.
4 years in prison.
Aye, 4 years ago. Aye, it was plead guilty right away. Trying to get it dealt with. I got on the Monday. On the Tuesday I went down to town with my son. And we sat and I said to him, Josh, I have to tell you something, son. I said, Daddy's going to have to go somewhere for a while. And he looked at me, baby, you know, by a wee long, I says, just, I'll be like, you'll be able to come and see me, I says. You know, that was the hardest bit, so it was. That was the hardest bit, telling Josh when he was a kid. You know, but aye, we got through it. He used to come and visit me.
Time in prison.
Tough there, sorry about that.
No, not at all.
Sorry about that.
Time in prison, is football still in the mind? Is football still big in there?
I get to sentence in Edinburgh, High Court, and I go to Stockton prison. And usually there's a bit of maybe a intelligence on you that tells you what Gerry Farrell is, who he is, what his background was. And one of the prison officers there was a guy who was close to Motherwell. I forgot his name, this is terrible here. He was close to the guy Gordon Young at Motherwell, who's a coach somewhere at Cove Rangers, and I think this guy knew him from Motherwell. He said, I recognise your name, son. He says, stay through here, this is a good deal for you, you know. Because I think sometimes somebody going to prison who's maybe got a wee bit of a background, it's football, boxing, or table tennis or something. There's maybe a wee, listen, the officers maybe go, this guy's got to maybe do something himself here. They're looking for somebody different sometimes to go, we don't want just number Davy Johnson here going, right, Dara saying, well, carry on again. They want a result for the statistics. And he says, stay through here. But my family at that time was also, it was post-Springburn. I was in Stockton then. There's a lot of travelling with my mum and dad. And for my son to get brought through to visit me. A lot of travelling. So I ended up asking for a transfer to Shotts Prison, which was closer. And Shotts Prison had a jail football team, which I wanted. I wanted to go and play football. So I had a jail team this Sunday morning, and team would come in actually for out. Just civilians would come in and play in a league. We were in a league.
Really?
Aye, it was great. I'm saying great, but it was best of a bad time.
Yeah.
And you make the most of a bad time. Much as it's a horrible place to be. The situation you got yourself into, I let myself in that door. You make the most of it. And I got people in prison, a couple of people in prison, quite a few actually, who helped me through it. They probably seen I wasn't a wronging really. You can see I wronged something, I wasn't a wrong. I told her I was going to cause trouble or run out any trouble in jail. I just wanted to play football and have a laugh. That's what I've done in jail again. But this time I bloated out weight wise. So I had to lose a bit of weight. So I went to Shotts. It was the June of 2006. It was a World Cup where Zidane, I think he does the guy in the chest, remember it? That one. And I'm still gambling because there's a bet on the jail. I think you worked in the jail for like £14 a week. I had bet £10 on France to win the tournament or something like that. So you're still gambling, still even in jail. Terrible. But I got to play football every Sunday and train twice a week with the football team, as well as go to the gym every morning. So, but I was still wasn't finished. I was still on the periphery of crime. So it's no point me going out to you, I went to jail, that was me done the crime. I wasn't. I was still on the periphery, even through the tough sentence and all that. It was still on the periphery of crime, you know. Shorts was a tough jail. There was a lot of guys in there loads and loads of years. I was only doing the 4 years, and I was grateful for that. But there was a lot of hard men in Shorts jail. It was a jail that was very quick, because it was a working jail. In the morning you went to sheds, you worked in a shed. In between going to the shed, maybe at 10 o'clock, you go to a gym, come back out the gym and go to your work class again, and go for your lunch and back to the gym in the afternoon. So it was jail for, my time passed quite quickly on it. I put myself forward for voluntary drug tests. Didn't take drugs. So I wanted to move through the system quickly.
Yeah.
So I was in Shorts up to about 2007, and I was getting progressed through the halls to a place called Care House, where your cell doors open at night time, so you can go and talk to other prisoners and communicate. It's a wee bit of trust in a certain way, getting progression. So I'm close to going to Castle Huntly to Molten Jail. And I tell you who gets in touch with me, a guy called Dave Bakey. He ended up managing of both, but he was also a teapot manager. He wrote me a letter at Castle Huntly to say, Jerry, sorry to hear your circumstances and that. And he said, you're a nice lad. I'm going to try and get you a game with Carnusha Juniors at the weekend in the jail. Okay. Alec Ray and Davy Farrell were at Dundee at the time, Dens Park working. They wrote a letter in the jail to get me working at Dens Park during the day. So I was leaving. There's a lot of prisoners in the morning leave Castle Huntly to go and do work in the community, getting back into work programmes and to get back into the community. I worked at Dens Park every morning. And I played the Carnoustie Juniors at the weekend. So I was leaving. I was getting I wasn't in the prison as much, you know, but I was learning. It was, there was these people put an neck out for me to get me a job, and I'm so grateful for that, you know. I want to thank people for that. But I was very fortunate. It just shows you how your football career can help you, even as much as adversity there, how it helped me progress a wee bit. And it got me a wee bit more connection to the outside world again. That was me. That was 2005. I got to jail in October, and I came out of prison in 2008, April.
That support system around you is absolutely astounding. And does it make the transition then back into civilization that little bit easier? But like you say, that is terrific that these guys have really helped you out along the way.
Aye. I think, this probably sounds terrible to say this, I don't think 4 years, probably maybe half of that is your sentence. But within about 12 months or 16 months, I'm probably in open leaves jail. So I probably didn't really miss much of civilization in life, as much as I was too away from my family. And the biggest thing you can ever lose, probably apart from your life, is your liberty.
Yep. And
you can be lonely. But I think I wasn't bad at adjusting that way, because you say you're going to the open jail, you're going to see people at Dens Park. I'm talking to football people who I'm in a football world. I love talking. Whether I'm talking rubbish or talking sense, I don't know. That's the guy's opinion, the person's opinion, the league's opinion. I'm in that football world. I love talking. I even just watching football. See, I like going to games where there's no crowds, just to sit and watch. Even it may be Stranraer I'm watching. It may be abroad. It may be Celtic next week. There's 60,000. But I just love watching football. It's a very opinionated game. It brings up arguments, you know. But getting back into civilization and people again, it probably did help me. You're right there. It probably did help me to communicate with people. I did. I definitely did. I think it did.
You're a football guy, and there's no other way to really put it. You're just a total football guy, and it's so heartwarming to see. Do you think there's a place now? You sort of look at like David Martindale right now. Do you think there's a gap, not a gap in the market, but there's sort of a gap in the field for guys like yourself to really set an example and to do these talks like you just love to talk football. Aye. You're very open about your past. Do you think that's something that you would like to get into more? And
aye, I'd love to be involved in football somewhere along the lines. I'd love to be involved if it's where you're a kit man, playing football, but it's driving the minibus, or else you're on the field or somewhere along the lines, or even just scouting. That's what Alan Muir used to do. Alan Muir done it at Morton a few times with me. Alan Muir stuck his neck out at Morton. Him and Mark McNally at Morton Football Club. And Alan used to say to me, listen Jerry, we're playing Dundee next week. They're playing at Farrell. Do you want to go and do a match report for me? Tell me how they set up at corners. And it was paying me. He maybe giving me my petrol money, my diesel money, maybe I'll leave me 2 tickets. So I was just happy to see the football. But it was giving me it was a way back in. It took a friend to do that. What David Martindale's done at Livingston's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And it's probably opened a lot of people's eyes up for what David Martindale really is as a person, a coach, because you can tell he knows his stuff. How he talks and conducts himself is phenomenal as well. It's great. People say, a lot of people say, we'll give you opportunities and all that, and we'll help you. We'll give you a chance, Jerry. We'll give you a chance, Davey. How many people actually do?
It's that follow through.
It's a follow through, isn't it? Davey's getting in at Livingston, probably through friends, which I had at Morton. I was lucky with Alan. What I would like to see, because see David Martindale was somebody else who knew, his name would link to all sorts of jobs.
Absolutely.
His name would link to all sorts of jobs, because what he's done is absolutely remarkable. And I would love to see it. I hope David does well. I really do hope he does well. Because he's done well to separate himself from everything. He's done well to draw himself back very quickly in life, made a decision and moved forward. I stuttered a wee bit. David Martindale's done really well. I'd love to see somebody go, listen, he'd be a Livingston man, Davey. And that's his club, that's who he wants to be because he's the Broxburn connection and all that stuff. I'd love to see David Martindale's name linked to a job. Or some other chairman go, I'm interested in you. That's when you'll find out who wants to help you or who believes in you. Because maybe football's a very protective world. It's a special industry. I understand that. People do make mistakes. People do make mistakes out there. There's probably people made other mistakes that's now been caught with. Maybe stole something in a shop years ago. So, David, we made bad decisions. But how David's recorded for any bad decisions is phenomenal. Take my hat after him. I would like to have seen him get a result on Sunday there.
Absolutely.
I even watched his game last night and I thought they were outstanding. I think how he's played. They've got a work ethic about them. And the way David puts it across, you can tell he's got that into him. Work hard for me, work hard here. He's got that work ethic. Whereas I think probably missing for football years. Because years ago we were all ITSs, the apprentices. You had to get in clean stadiums, brush your dressing rooms, clean the boots, do everything right. Nowadays you see apprentices now, they've got a soap bag. All it's missing is Paris Hilton's Doug to get in a wee motor. That's what's missing now. Because they don't have to do work duties or chores. It's quite that's health and safety. You can't do this, you can't do that. You get cleaners in now. Get the work ethic back in. That's what Livingston have got a work ethic about them. I think they've got it's one of the clubs. I don't think they're a rich club. I think they're an organised club. I think they've got to work hard for their bonuses and things like that. And the players look to me as if the players play for the manager. That's the biggest thing. Man management, isn't it? You can coach all day long and tell people where to go. But if you can man manage somebody and get the best out of them. I know guys who have been coached every day of the week. But on a Saturday you couldn't get into them. But I know other guys who go, I'll go that bit further for that manager than I'll do it for him. I'll go that further for him. And you believe in him.
It helps obviously the coaching that you've received in the past, but do you fancy yourself as a bit of a coach?
I think generally now I'd struggle with it. I think I'd probably generally my communication skills I need to learn. I need to learn how to communicate a bit better. I'd probably get angry so bad because you sometimes get I got involved with a couple of junior teams there now just to help me for a bit of experience. I found it tough in certain ways that young boys go as if they know better. Being honest there. But I would love to be involved in the coaching side. Love to be. But that's going to take progression. That's going to take me learning some more things about myself and learn and be open-minded with other people. But I would love to be part of the football side again. I'd love to be part of it. I do miss football. I miss football. I miss people. I miss the bus, I miss the bus going to the game. I miss the bus coming back to the game. I miss the dressing room. I miss getting shouted at. I miss getting told you've done well. But I miss people. I would like to get back into football yesterday. Who would do?
A few final questions for you, Jerry, and we'll wrap this up. Where are we now, gambling wise?
Gambling wise is really good. Life's good. Life's really good. Life's good. I'm chuffed. Don't gamble. Life's really good. I had the problem with the bookies were back open that carry on there, but life's good. Life's really good. And you know within yourself you're gambling that. But life's good. I'm happy.
That is terrific to hear. And I think we'll wrap it up at this. What do clubs need to do more? There needs to be some sort of like stability, or guys like yourself, David Martindale, like something needs to be shown to these guys, or does a better support system need to be put in place for the youngsters? Because there is that culture, and I don't know obviously if it's still out there now, but there are. I
think the culture now is young boys now are impressed with somebody like if you're in like middle of Dalkeith and you're a young boy you want to play football. And you're 12 or 13 year old, you look up to peers, you look up to people, so you might see the guy there with the bag, big watch on. All right, man. That guy's always got a good looking beard and all that. And that guy's got a jeep and all that. You go, that's a bit of peer pressure or something, innit? I want to keep up with the Joneses. That's what I be. Get the work ethic back in. That's why I believe going back to the fit buddies and the apprentices and that. Clean the park, clean the stadium, brush up, put stuff in bags. We can do that since health and safety and all. We need to get back to our work ethic. Because young boys at 16 now, I say, they're giving me a soap bag and that. I think they've arrived. I've made it. You don't need and they listen and go, what do I do now? You need to learn how to work. You need to go and dig holes. I made the mistakes when I was young myself. But even at Partick Thistle, we done our cleaning, our dressing room stuff and all that. But you still think you've arrived a wee bit. You still realise to release you go, what do I do? Where do I go for here? I had to go and work. I went and done loads of jobs, done postmans, everything, done every job I could do. I wanted to work. Probably because I was trying to feed my habit at the same time as well though. I was probably going, right, I need to work next week because I've tapped 40 quid off somebody for gambling. You look at, nowadays probably programmes should be setting at the SFA, maybe if they could, they can't afford things like that now, maybe further down, hopefully the government could afford to set things up for kids. What you got to do after football, what you got to do if you don't make it in football, and be upfront and talk about this year. Don't be scared to talk about this year. Don't be scared to go, I might not make it. Because I think we all have the dream, this is going to last. When you're 16, and when I change room, I'm going to play here when I'm 25 and all that. You need to start maturing quite quickly. It's quite hard you're 16 to go, I want to think about 21. Sometimes you got to prepare here for the future. I see there's a couple of St Johnson players I think have done it. I'm trying to think of the guy's name. He tended to be a finance accountant or advisor or something. Was it David Mackay maybe? David Mackay.
Danny Swanson has a...
Was it?
Danny Swanson's got a financial advisor's business.
I see people looking at it, I'm going, this is brilliant. So he's probably done that quite later on as well, Danny Swanson.
Yeah, absolutely. So
we should actually look at it. We were 16 year YTS years ago. You used to go to a thing called it was a bronze medallion time. It was training for sitting guilds for your NVQs and all that stuff for sports centres. And it was only sports centres they targeted to get a sports industry. But we should look at something different for that. We should look at, right, can we do accountancy? Can we do joinery business here? Can we do finance management? Can it be just, right, you go to college one day a week to learn about how to run a sports centre? Because that might not be your life. There's so many sports centres in the world. You know?
Gerry, I could talk to you all day. You really have. You've been an absolute pleasure.
Brilliant, thank you.
You're just a football guy all round.
I like the football, all the football.
And it's good to...
Thanks very much for having me through, by the way.
Thank you so much.
I'm doing a charity cycle now.
Yep.
For Mental Health Scotland, for Lifelink. It's a need, my friend Thomas Easton killed himself a few years back. And we always done a charity game with Duke Pumpers, and it's all ex-senior football players. Brad McKinney's, Jerry McCabe's, Ali Graham's, Brian. I could go on all day, Shui Farrell's, all these guys. Helped me all the years. Brilliant guys, Albert Craig and that. So I'm cycling to every ground in the west of Scotland. We're on the pandemic's on, so I can't get people really cycling with me and meet audiences or else serve the right people. So I'm cycling every ground to meet an ex-player over 2 weekends, Saturday, Sunday. And I've got a photo took at every stadium. It's to create awareness of mental health here. So anybody can see it. I'm not actually donating money or anything, but can share awareness here to help people with mental health problems because it's out there. And things in football can help. Football's a way out for people. I hope we can share it.
We will share it on every platform we've got going here. Thank you so much, Gerry, for joining me on Soccer Supernova.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.